monastery. There he'll take enough food for his own needs and share the rest with the other bhikkhus, the novices, and the monastery workers. In this way, the bhikkhu receives his material support, and the lay people gain the chance to practice generosity and to acquire merit. The practice of going for alms round is burdensome for none, and it's a source of joy for all parties concerned, the monks, the lay people, and the hands in the monastery who require the offerings of the monks. There are two basic levels of monastic status in the Sangha: the rank of the samanera and the rank of the bhikkhu. A samanera is a novice monk. A bhikkhu is a fully ordained monk. The word samanera means a little samana, or a little monk. A samanera is one who has left the household life and entered the monastic fold, but he has not yet been fully admitted into the Sangha. He's still preparing for full ordination as a bhikkhu. He might have to undergo training for a period of several months or several years, though sometimes mature men who go forth are given the novice ordination and full ordination on the same day. The ceremony of becoming a samanera is called pabbaja, the going forth from lay life into the homeless life. To become a samanera, the candidate must be at least 7 years old. He has to be physically fit, provided with robes, and he has to be accepted by a senior bhikkhu as a pupil. At the ceremony of ordination, the candidate approaches his preceptor with his head shaved and carrying his robes in his hand. He then asks the preceptor to be given the pabbaja, the going forth. The preceptor will then give him a short explanation of what this involves. He takes the robes from the samanera and then he gives them back. And this marks the acceptance of the candidate as a samanera. The new novice will then go off to the side, take off his lay clothes and put on the robes. Then he returns to his teacher and he asks the teacher to give him the 3 refuges and the 10 precepts of a samanera. The teacher will then recite the formula for the refuges and the 10 precepts, the samanera repeating them after the preceptor. And from then on, the samanera must observe the 10 basic precepts of the monastic life. These are: first, to abstain from killing or taking life; to abstain from taking what is not given, stealing; third, to abstain from incelibacy. He has to lead a life of strict brahmacharya, of strict chastity. Fourth, to abstain from lying. Fifth, to abstain from using intoxicants, drinks and drugs that cause intoxication. Sixth, to abstain from eating at the wrong time, which means from midday until the next morning. The monks take their food between dawn and midday, and from midday until the next dawn they don't take any solid food, but only liquids, drinks. Seventh, he has to abstain from singing, dancing, musical instruments, and from unsuitable shows. Eighth, he has to abstain from using ornaments, scents, garlands, and perfumes that beautify the person. Ninth, he has to avoid high and luxurious seats and beds. And 10th, he has to abstain from accepting gold and silver, from accepting money. During his period of training as a samanera, the young monk must study the Dhamma, he must learn the aspects of monastic discipline, and prepare himself for future full ordination. The ceremony of full ordination as a bhikkhu is called upasampada. To be eligible for upasampada, The candidate first has to have been a samanera for some time, usually for several years, though, as like we said, in the case of mature men, he might just have to have been ordained as a novice earlier the same day. The candidate for bhikkhu status must be 20 years old, and he has to be free from the impediments. That is, he has to be free from certain incurable diseases like leprosy, tuberculosis, and epilepsy. He has to be a free man, not in debt. He has to be exempt from military service, and he has to have the permission of his parents. When he comes for the ordination ceremony, he must have a complete set of robes and an alms bowl. These will usually be provided by lay supporters. The ceremony of Upasampada requires a Sangha of at least 5 bhikkhus, though usually more are present. The Sangha is headed by a senior bhikkhu of at least 10 years standing in the order, who has a good knowledge of Dhamma and Vinaya, the code of discipline. This senior monk will serve as the preceptor for the new bhikkhu. The ordination is more complex than that used for the novice ordination. First, a monk will chant a motion that such and such, the name of the candidate, requests upasampada with such and such a senior monk as his preceptor. Then 3 announcements of this fact are made, and if none of the bhikkhus present objects, then when the 3rd announcement is finished, the candidate is accepted as a bhikkhu. After the actual ordination, the preceptor then explains to the new bhikkhu the 4 things which are absolutely prohibited for a fully ordained monk. These 4 acts are firstly, engaging in sexual intercourse of any kind, whether it be heterosexual or homosexual. Secondly, taking anything of value that is not given. Third, killing another human being. And fourth, falsely claiming to have reached some higher spiritual attainment. If a bhikkhu commits any of these forbidden acts, then he is immediately expelled from the Sangha, and he can never be reordained again in this lifetime. After explaining these 4 forbidden acts, the preceptor then explains the 4 supports of the homeless life. These are, first, to live on food collected on alms round. Secondly, to use robes made from cast-off rags. Third, to live